Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're going to make a dish that I've never made before. This will be my first attempt at making this. It's something that I've eaten more times than I want to admit. Something that I've eaten a lot here at Pakistani restaurants in Toronto. And I ate it quite a bit when we were in India. We spent 6 months in India traveling by rail cross country. And this was a dish that I found more in the northern parts of India, mostly Punjab and Kashmir. Always closer to the Pakistani border. Now, in this heavy Dutch oven pot, I have put some ghee, which in simplest terms is clarified butter. And to that, I'm going to add a couple of thinly sliced onions. And we're going to sweat those down. I'm not going to do it too quickly. I want to sweat them down kind of slowly, let them give off their moisture, and then I'll bring the temperature up a little bit so that we get them a nice golden brown, kind of a nice sweet golden brown. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt to help that along. I'm the kind of person that pretty much always goes back into the kitchen when I eat in a restaurant. And when we traveled across India, I spent a lot of time standing in restaurant kitchens asking questions. Overwhelmingly well received. And I spent a lot of time learning and asking and trying to figure it out. And the way that onions are dealt with at the beginning of one of these long, slow braises, we're going to do a long, slow lamb shank braise, in case you're wondering what today's dish is. The way that the onions are treated at the beginning is just so incredibly important, as well as the way that the spices are treated. So I've got a small little frying pan here. I'm going to put it on just low heat. And to that, I'm going to add all of our whole spices. Okay, so not too hot, dry frying pan. You just want to toast them. So we're going to start out with cumin, whole fennel, whole black peppercorns, coriander seed, green cardamom pods, a star anise, and cloves. I'm also going to throw in probably a third of a nutmeg. And I'll just swirl that around in the pan. We just want to toast it lightly until it starts to become really nice and fragrant. It releases all of the oils and really brings out all of the flavors. So, careful, watch it. You should just barely be able to put your fingers in. Just barely. It needs to be just a little bit hotter than that. And when I was trying to get all of the ingredients for this, I could get a list of ingredients, but when you stand in a kitchen with a chef who knows what they're doing, who does it day in, day out, all the time, they've just got a big tray with little spice packets in it and a spoon, and they just grab really quickly, and they know how much by eyeballing it from memory. Absolutely incredible. So I'm hoping I'm getting this right. I really do hope that I'm getting this right. And even if it's only really close, I think I'm still going to enjoy it. I think the spices are pretty much toasted. The onions are coming along nicely. Watch them closely. You need to walk a fine line between letting them brown and caramelize nicely and burning them, toasting them, making them hard and crunchy. That's not what I'm looking for with this dish. Now, there is a shortcut. The onions will take a long time. There is a shortcut. And I hear it all the time, and I've tried it, I've used it. You put a little bit of baking soda in, and it promotes browning. And so the onions will brown a lot faster, and they will brown really nicely. The problem I find with that method is the onions completely break down, and you lose the onions totally. They break right down into a mush. And I don't want that here. I still want to know that there's some onions in here. Now, put all of the whole spices into this spice grinder. I'm going to add at this point some ground dried ginger powder, and some Kashmiri chili powder. Put the lid on. Now, the onions take patience. They really do take patience. I did a recipe from Paul Bocuse a few weeks ago for beef bourguignon. And in that recipe, Paul Bocuse asks for the beef cubes to be browned for 30 minutes. And I let it go for 30 minutes, and it was the most amazing dish I've ever eaten. And that beef, he had like 1.5 kilos of beef put into that pot all at once, which goes against everything that you know about cooking, where you're supposed to put in a little bit at a time, stir it around, sear it off, brown it really quickly, take it out, and then do the next batch. This was all in, all at once. There was quite a bit of butter, and at the end it looked like the beef was deep frying in the fat because it had slowly released its own fat. Absolutely amazing. You have to take your time. And so these onions have been in this pot for about 25 minutes at this point. And I'm looking at them and thinking they could probably go at this rate with a little bit of stirring for at least another 15 or 20 before I'm going to be happy with them. Which has part of my brain back here screaming, it's going in the oven for 5 hours. Does it really matter? Maybe. I'd say yeah, maybe. Those onions are looking good, and they smell fantastic. I don't know if the color shows up quite as well on camera as it does here in person, but I'm going to say those are ready to go. So, into that pot, I'm going to add some garlic paste, about that much, some ginger paste, about the same amount, about, cinnamon stick, some turmeric, all of the ground spices that we toasted earlier. And I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit and give that a stir. Now, I've got 3 lamb shanks. There's probably enough spice and sauce, resulting sauce here, to cook 4 or 5, I would say. But I'll let you know a secret. Julie doesn't like lamb, so I'll be the only one eating this. She will taste it politely, but she won't eat it. So now that I've got this on here, I've got 1.5 liters of water. I'm probably just going to put in, let's see. Got 1.5 liters, and I'm going to put in 1 liter. I'm going to hold that back for the moment. This is going to go in the oven for 4 to 5 hours. And what I'm going to do is check it partway through to see how much water has evaporated. And I'll be able to add a little bit more. You could use a broth. Most of the chefs that I watch make this used a mutton broth. And I just don't have access to mutton broth. I'm sure that you could use a beef broth or a chicken stock or chicken broth and just add that little bit of extra flavor. But I think water will do just fine. So I'm just going to bring that liquid up to a boil. Put the lid on. And stick that in the oven. Okay, so the kitchen smells incredible.
Yes, it does. Hey, friends. Oh, my.
Maybe a fork. It's lamb.
Oh.
It's lamb.
Glen's favorite.
It is my favorite. Okay. The lamb is just falling apart tender. And the sauce in here looks amazing.
When you said you were making a curry, I was expecting, not whole. That's why I was looking in surprise. Double take as I walked in. It's like, oh, you got whole giant pieces in there.
Whole lamb shank. Let's see. It just
does
apart.
fall off.
Oh, it just falls right apart. Look at that.
Oh, I can get it on the fork.
I mean, it's lamb. It tastes like lamb.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Okay, a little bit of naan. Now, you would put this on a bed of rice.
That's hot.
You'd put this on a bed of rice and you'd scoop some of the sauce over it.
My naan's just going right in there.
That's that pot there. That's the rice. That's next Friday's recipe. So you'll have to come back for the rice that goes with this. How's the sauce?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get moving because I want to get that rice tasted and.
That's really good. Some good spice, a little bit of heat. Cut back on the Kashmiri chili powder if you don't want as much heat. None of the other spices are hot. That's the only one that would be bringing heat. But it is super rich and flavorful. Like there's a real depth of flavor there. Okay. This, I think, is a winner. Exactly what I was looking for tonight. Julie's probably...
It's lamb.
It's lamb. You could use other meats. Definitely, you could use other meats. Thanks for stopping by. See you next Friday for the rice.